All right, we are joined now by Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 14 One Cure Ford. Clint, historically, you've been very successful here at Sonoma, including a win in 2012, and you're coming off a win in Michigan. What's your strategy this weekend to make it 2 in a row?
Just, get settled in, get comfortable on the racetrack, get your car comfortable. That's the biggest thing. You heard Kyle talking about all the challenges of this racetrack, and it presents all of them. The forward bite issues. You have a high-speed section, so you got to have, good aero grip over there in the high-speed section. It's very technical up on the hill and stuff like that. It's a short track of road racing, and who am I to say that? I'm not a road racer and don't really know, haven't really been on anything other than these two that we race on, but it's just always felt like you was at a little bull ring short track somewhere in the Midwest on a half mile, and it just happens to be you go right and shift gears all at the same time.
Open it up for questions. We'll start with Mike.
Mike Hembree, USA Today. You're one of one of 4 guys now with multiple wins. Only 6 guys have won races this year. You feel like you're sort of part of the in crowd now, looking at the second half of the season?
Well, I'm certainly with the in organization right now with Stewart-Haas Racing and Ford and the job that Doug Yates and all his crew's doing on those engines. I mean, it's just a lethal package right now. It's this is a humbling sport, man. I've been all over the place in it, and been high and low and everywhere in between, and just makes you appreciate the ride you're on right now and the group that I'm around. And we're hitting on all 8 cylinders. We're getting the most out of our weekends, and finally starting to get that consistency back that I talked about, that we were lacking last year. So the capability, is there within the team. It was a team effort at Michigan, and it'll take a team effort this weekend to conquer this racetrack and the competition on it. Just a fun weekend, though. Focusing on this weekend, thinking about this weekend and an off weekend like we had. You just can't. Doesn't matter what you're doing. I was sitting over at the lake watching the kids swim, and I'm thinking about turn 7, and putting the throttle down, and who's going to dive bomb you and piss you off in 11, or what you're going to do to them, or who's going to be in your mirror, how you're going to navigate turn, 4, and all the, challenges of this racetrack. I mean, you kind of catch yourself daydreaming, of the lines on the racetrack, and then, all the experiences you've had on the racetrack, maybe on and off of it.
Next, we'll go to PRN in the back.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Clint, you always have a good time at the racetrack, even when things aren't going so well. How much more fun is it now when things are going well?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, I think it's well documented. You guys do a great job covering our sport. And I mean, you can see, the happiness and the fun that's within our group right now. I mean, it's a ton of fun to be able to win at this level of auto racing is a dream come true to be able to compete at this level. And then once you're sitting in victory lane and you've beat the best of the best, there's just no feeling like it. There isn't. To be able to share that with the men and women that are behind you in these race cars at Stewart-Haas Racing and victory lane, there's absolutely no gratification like that.
Next, we'll go to Mike Joy.
Clint, running well and winning here is so different from anything else. How did you come to embrace road racing?
I think you embrace this track and road racing in general, just like you do Martinsville. Nobody shows up at Martinsville and goes to the top of the board and is fast and has success and navigates traffic and wins that race right off the bat. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen here either. It's an acquired taste, just like the wine right down the street. I'm telling you, it is. This place is a beast, and so is that wine the first time you try it. Like, damn, I don't know about all this. The next thing you know, you're getting a little longer in the tooth, and you're like, hey, let's go get some wine. So it is. This racetrack is so much like, pulling into one of them vineyards as you go through life and everything else. But it's a ton of fun. You've got to be able to have fun on this racetrack. It's a challenge. Each and every corner is different. There is no perfect setup. There is no perfect line. You'll literally one of the only tracks you go to where you're out there racing and you'll have a smile on your face. You might get a chuckle. Maybe you'll go into the corner and slip up and be pissed because the guy behind you that you spent 3 laps passing got back around you, and maybe the next corner he drives off the track, and you're like, ah! That is that quick chuckle that I'm talking about that only, road racing or something like Sonoma can present.
Next, we'll go to Fox.
I think I got a pretty good judge of your enthusiasm for the sport, but some have suggested that this year or in past years, maybe the fan base has dwindled off. Do you feel that? What is your take on it?
Every track's different. Every area is different. We're all in this together. I think the product is as good as it's ever been. I mean, that's not an argument. That's stats. That's facts. That the racing is better than it's ever been. Our tracks, they put on a show. They put on a party. They put on an event. And it's not just those race cars on the racetrack that are part of that event. You have to be able to entertain the people, our fans, all weekend long. If you're going to invite them to the racetrack, you've got to be able to put on a show and have them come back to their families, to their friends with memories and moments that they remember. And that doesn't just entail those race cars being on the racetrack. And sometimes I think we make a mistake of just focusing on that. When I go to a football game, I go to Chiefs games in the wintertime. Can't wait to go back. Can't wait to tailgate at Arrowhead. It's the best damn time I've ever had with my buddies. We go and let our hair down and have fun. And believe it or not, I've left there and went, hey, who won? It's an event. It's not just a football game. You're there for the football. You're there for the racing, but you're there for a good time.
Next, we'll go to MRN.
Woody came with MRN. Clint, next week you head to Chicago. Will it feel strange that not being the playoff opener, and how different do you think that track will be in July versus the fall?
It certainly is. We were, I was trying to figure out. Buddy at the lake was asking, when are you going to come back? I'm like, man, I don't know. My wife was like, after Chicago, I think, before July 4th. I'm like, do what? No. So I was all messed up on my schedule, and Chicago's always been a cool racetrack. It's a sister track to my home track in Kansas, and the fan base up there is that Midwestern fan base that I feel most comfortable with and enjoy. Going to that racetrack and interacting with them in the infields and everything else. It's, again, as you go through, we're fortunate enough to be able to race all over the country and see different people and different ways of life, and what works in Chicago may not work in Sonoma. What works in Sonoma. They don't drink wine in Chicago, not at the racetrack. It's Busch Light. You come out here and you're going to have people drinking vino out there, and watching a good race. I mean, that's what's cool about being able to race all over the country.
Next, we'll come back up to Mike.
NASCAR's decision on the All-Star package to hold off to next year.
This is Bob's question. I mean, come
Well,
on.
I'm sorry. I beat him to it.
We were doing so well.
Good idea or bad?
I don't. It's their idea, and their decision, and they do a great job. Man, there's so much going on in this sport, and we looked at that and tried it in the All-Star race. That's a great format to be able to do that. Showed promise, you know what I mean? But there's still more to learn in that and everything else. So they obviously, I heard it just like you. I was off this weekend just like you were, and probably read it on Twitter just like you did, and start calling the boys at home. But I mean, I appreciate that we tried that. Appreciate that it showed some promise for our future, and also appreciate that what we have right now is just fine to be able to go for a championship and hopefully be a part of that with the 14 car.
Go to the second row.
Clint, you often hear Sonoma talked about as a very technical course, especially in comparison to Watkins Glen. And I'm just wondering, in layman's terms, what does that mean to you? What makes this so technical?
Well, just Watkins Glen is so fast. Just dive bombs, and you're really, really carrying a lot of speed at a place like Watkins Glen. Here, it's like that short track. It's like being at Martinsville. You beat did you see my car at the end of the year last year, or at the end of the race? I mean, it was destroyed. and drove up through them. I think, passed the field twice because of, mistakes that we made, and got spun out once. I mean, it was a wild race to be able to finish second in that. You can't do that at Watkins Glen. That car would not have ran in the top 10 at Watkins Glen. Braking, getting into these corners at 11, you're sitting here looking at it. I mean, I know when I get in this car just a little bit, you've got to be on your game over there. You go through that little swell right there, and a car unloads, and once they get light, it's really easy to wheel hop. Then you got to be able to get it woed down to get on the bottom down there, and get that thing launched off the corner, up through the gears, up on the hill, blind corners. I mean, this track has way more than other tracks. I mean, Watkins Glen, you go up through that hill, but you can see the other side. You pop the crest of the hill up there and come back down. It's, I mean, you're like, I think I'm good. I think I'm not good. I'm in the dirt. I mean, it's just one of those tracks that's, you've got to be on your game, and it's very, very technical. And the minute you're not, you're off the racetrack and in trouble.
Next, we'll go to Lee.
Have you been on the Charlotte Road course, and do you have any expectations of, from seeing what other people have said, what to expect?
I haven't been on it. I haven't even watched a lap around it. I don't even know what the track looks like, to be honest with you. I know it's at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I'm looking forward to getting there. But, this racetrack that's ahead of us right now is the one. This is the one that we're here to put a show on for. The fans come out, the traffic, everything this is an event. You know what I mean? This is the event that we all need to take a look at, and because it showcases the best racing on the racetrack that NASCAR, that we can possibly provide. And then you look around in the grandstands, or you look over on the back straightaway. I mean, people are having a good time, and they're enjoying this event. It's not just a race.
And were you down at the USR?
Yeah.
Was it the same after you left?
No. I wasn't. I can promise you that.
Do we have any questions upstairs?
Clint, Justin Schuler with Speedway Media. This is the first time since 31 years NASCAR's had 3 road courses in the schedule, and now this year with the Roval coming up. What's your thoughts with the direction of adding some more road course races in the schedule?
Yeah, I think it's a good product for our sport. I think, ever since we went to that Car Tomorrow, it's been great road racing. I can say you can almost pinpoint that is when we went to that and started coming out here, it's like, oh, this was awesome. And then it's just always provided that. I don't know where the hell to look at. Where is he? Did I look at that camera? So, I think it provides a good product on the racetrack. These road courses, Watkins Glen, another packed house, sold out crowds. And my wife's from up there. I mean, I know, because I know the people around there and I've met them, the impact that race and that event makes on that area. Guy Fieri was over there at his house last night. He's coming to camp out with his buddies. I mean, you feel and know the excitement and the buzz, in this area because of us rolling into town with this sport. I think we could do that at a Road America or Road Atlanta and things like that. I want to be careful. Just because you got a road course in the middle of your circle track, I don't think we need to be doing those. I'd like to see our sport going to some other venues and racing in front of some new faces.
Any other questions upstairs?
No more questions.
Second row, last question down here.
Donna Beth Wildman, Martinez News Gazette, Benicia Herald. When I first talked to you about the new format at the time with the stages, your focus was on winning. Now what do you think, now that you've got a little bit of this under your belt, what do you think of the stage racing?
It's good. The fastest cars get all the stage points and win the races. It's just that way. So, you know what I mean? Has it created some buzz and excitement throughout the race? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's, if you're sitting at the craps table and you're betting on the fastest car probably getting the most stage points and winning the race, your odds are pretty damn good. That's racing. It's been that way since I was 5 years old, racing motorcycles. If the little redheaded kid from Florida would show up, he was the guy you had to beat, and most people couldn't beat him.
Thank you, Clint.